Good morning, Rob. How are you?
I'm wonderful. And yourself?
I'm fine. Thank you so much. What is the
Right.
weather like there in Poland? I know you're based in Poland.
Yeah, it's sunny, a few clouds, warm, too hot for me, but not as hot as where you are.
I guess so. It's summertime here, but this is a kind invitation if ever you still haven't or didn't visit Tunisia yet, please come
Not
and
yet.
but bring your swimsuit with you because that's the only option here.
Okay.
So, Rob, I always wanted to have you as my guest, and you're a kind professional. You're someone who's very active in the field, and I always wanted to learn from you a lot. So I kept on observing what you do on social media. We've been friends on Instagram like for years, I guess. But I was just following the flow, following what Rob was doing, whether with teacher associations, whether what you do for your business, online business. And today I wanted to learn more exactly from what Rob teaches. So, first, Rob, I don't want to introduce you, like the usual bio introduction. Rob is a teacher trainer with over, thousands of years of experience. So, I
Yep.
believe in
It's 2,000 years.
BC.
Yeah.
So I do really believe in the human being, in any person being himself, herself. And then
Mhm.
we discover this in the process. So the first question, Rob, today, how and let's say why or when exactly did you have an aha moment and you knew you wanted to be an English teacher? You said, aha,
Hopefully I'll have that next week.
not yet.
Well, it's really kind of a funny story. I always thought I would be a teacher. I just never thought it would be English. I planned on being a music teacher. I went to school for music education,
Really?
and that was my original goal, was to be a music teacher. I thought in doing it, after my first year or so studying that, I realized I'll never make any money as a music teacher. So I switched over to business and computer science. But knowing that I was doing that, I took secondary ed. I minored in the States in secondary education because I knew someday I would be a teacher of something, probably math or computer science or maybe business. I never thought it would be English. But when I got to Brazil over 20 years ago, people said, well, you speak English and can you help me with my English? And started with one or two people, and then a few of the schools asked me to help them. And then people said, why don't you start your own? So I started my own English school, and I went from 4 students to 150 in a matter of a couple of months.
Wow.
And I realized I was pretty good at it. And so I kept studying and did more, and here I am today.
What I noticed, Rob, is like not only you, like including myself and everybody that I have interviewed, it was not really the main purpose at the beginning. None of
Right.
us wanted to be an English teacher from the beginning. So, and that's the
Mhm.
purpose of the Ikigai podcast. Actually, is like to discover all areas, let's say, all potential skills, that we all have, and then. Most of all, we have chosen the one that we feel well at ease with, or sometimes it's by chance. There are people, for
Right.
instance, who find themselves in the place, where people suggested, why don't you, since you're good in this, why don't you help us do that? And basically, let's say we excel at that because we just do it, naturally. And that's part
Mhm.
of, let's say, the unconscious competency that say it. So we do that in coaching. So there's a kind of conscious competency, things that you learn,
Mhm.
hard skills. And there are things that
Mhm.
you just do them, intuitively, just like
Yep.
any speaker would speak the language naturally. So,
Mhm.
since you mentioned music, I have another colleague who's keen on music, who's Dorothy Zemak, and she plays an instrument.
Ukulele.
The ukulele, yes. And
Yep.
why don't we start maybe a project, all of us? I sing, you compose music to us, and Dorothy plays music. So let's think about this, and let's see who
Okay.
can join us for a musical for EL.
Um, there's actually quite a few people in ELT and that are musicians because we're basically performers as teachers.
Yes,
And when you look at some of the people that are out there, they've gained the confidence of teaching from doing their music before, and they go hand in hand. So we can start a few different bands.
exactly. Yeah, but yes, let's keep it that way. Or
Yep.
maybe a
Good.
duo, because I like impersonating people, so that might be good. Yes. So a lot of potential in the field, let's say. So
Great.
the next thing that I wanted to really know more about you, Rob, is like this interview will be something really unconventional. It's like not a Q&A kind of session, an interview, Rob, it's like, when did you graduate? And so it's like, it's going to be something really a friendly chat.
Hmm.
I want to know more about the younger Rob. So let's go back a little bit in the past. And
Hmm.
as we talked about the aha moment and when you wanted to be, let's say, a teacher, generally speaking.
Hmm.
Rob, were you like someone who's keen on science more than art? Did you like activities related to motor skills? So what kind of activity do you find yourself more into until now? Let's dive into the past until now.
Oh, it changes over the years, and as you get older, you'll find out someday, and your body changes, and your ability to do things changes. Your the things that you enjoy change. For example, I grew up on boating, fishing, sailing.
Wow.
In the wintertime, the ice froze over, so I loved hockey and skating. Um, I used to ride my bike everywhere. I used to go from Boston to Canada, and you know, plus always the music. The music was always there. I think I started my first instrument, the little plastic recorder, when I was 4 years old, and then I picked up the trumpet. My neighbor was a trumpet player and had an old trumpet he gave me. He was in the Navy band, and so I started playing along with my father's big band records and kept going from there. So, things change over the years, and the nice thing is most of the hobbies, most of the interests that I've had from my youth, I've been able to make a living at.
Oh, really?
And including, yeah, I was a professional musician for years.
Oh,
And one of my big hobbies was carpentry. And when I was moving around the United States, I was remodeling houses and building houses. And it's the whole principle behind Ikigai. If you're happy and you have passion in what you're doing,
exactly.
then do it.
Yes, and that improves over the years, as you said, because we have different versions of ourselves all through, and we mature in
Well,
the process. So
yep. Well, I haven't quite matured yet, so May will
I
tell you that. Dorothy will tell you that for sure.
will ask her. I still
Yeah.
haven't asked, before my interview, I just kind of stalk my guests, instead of
Mhm.
just asking people about them. So I just collect every info related to the guests and from what I know about them, of course. But I didn't ask, but I will ask more, especially friends, and I might even
Mhm.
invite, several professionals, maybe in my next, upcoming episodes. So good friends can tell more about each other,
Mhm.
more they can tell about themselves. So when it comes
That could be scary. That sounds like an intervention to me.
actually, look, Rob, I wanted to ask you a question. Did you try to integrate music into teaching English, into ELT?
That's an interesting question because being a musician, being a songwriter, and everything else, you would think I would,
Yeah.
and I don't. There's people out there, for example, I've been to many talks where Jeremy Hammer brings his guitar, Dorothy brings her ukulele, Charles Goodger is out there doing songs with kids. And it's just something that I'm not comfortable with. And, it's like I wouldn't dance. There's certain things that just don't fit me, even though music is so much a part of my life.
Yes.
So I leave it to the other people who are doing it. And you just, for me, it just doesn't feel like me bringing the two together.
Maybe if you try it, I don't want to impose, but I'll ask you questions. Have you tried it before and it didn't work? And the second question, what type of instruments do you play, Rob?
Well, my main instrument was always trumpet. I play all brass, I play all woodwinds, and I play guitar. I've got my guitar collection here, and other things, piano, everything else. I teach one to one mostly now, so I'm not teaching groups. So
Oh my, I
we
can
talk about music all the time,
yeah.
but I'm not going to sing a song with you. Okay.
I was about to ask you that. You're a mind reader. I was about to ask you, Rob,
Mhm.
you agreed to play a short, maybe part of a song at the end of the podcast, if you agree, or maybe if you
Yeah.
have a guitar. No? Oh my God. I
I'm
thought
a
you
union
have
musician.
the song.
Yeah. And, yeah.
Do you have
Uh,
a
uh, huh?
do you have a recorded video of yourself doing this?
Doing music? I don't know if there's any video left. If you really search, you can find one of my old bands on Spotify, and
I will.
there's music there. You see, you didn't stalk well enough.
I did. You know what I did, Rob? I stalked you and then I asked AI. So I tell
Mhm.
AI told me about Rob. They even know things. I'm not sure if they're really uh, right, maybe true. But the thing is that AI brought me two names. First, they said Rob Howard is a multifaceted individual with various careers. And then they showed me the photo of someone so young. That's not you. Okay. That's the
Not
first
me.
Rob. So I kept on really stalking. And then the second question is, and then here is your website. So I got into your website, and I scrolled into that website and I found it really very, very interesting. Is that yours?
Mhm. That's me.
Okay. And then
Doesn't it look just like me?
it does, but I said maybe it's, scammers and people, they just do this. But then
It's me.
I noticed funny things, interesting things. It's not funny, but interesting on your website. I'll tell you what are they. Authentic photos, okay? So that's all teacher trainers, they do this. But the titles you include for your workshops, I'm not going to mention one of them, but they're so very fun. And you
Mhm.
include, what else? What else? So you have your all bio there and books as well.
Mhm.
A dictionary for idioms. Is that yours? Vidium.
Yeah, vidioms. Yeah, it was something I was doing years ago when I was in Brazil with an old girlfriend. We were both English teachers, and we started this, and a few of my students jumped in and didn't too. And we were just having fun with,
It is.
you know, social media was new back then, so we were acting out idioms.
And it's cool. Things they can't teach you at school. I'm not going to mention what's things. And then
Oh,
shelfie.
you can say
No,
it.
could be banned on YouTube.
Yeah,
Shelfies. Oh, I like the
yeah, Shelfies was fun. It was a great project I did with my teen students. And you think about when you look at your own shelf, it really tells a story about yourself. And it was a really fun project. And we had a lot of people from around Brazil, other teens get involved.
But I do remember a video. It's about a teacher who taught in let's say in the East, not to mention any country. And the students were talking their native language, L1, and during the break time, and the teacher learned that language. So until the end of the year, started speaking their language, they knew that he could understand every single word from what they're saying about him. So, and then, being wise and learning the language of the country you're working at, good thing. So I always do that, even when I travel, like I get a few things, especially the airport, not to be lost. I still remember my joke with the Turkish airport, the çıkışın giriş. So at least I told them I know from where to enter and from where to exit in case I get lost. Because, every language is difficult for any person who does not really know more about it. Yeah. The next question, Rob, it's like a combined question. So first, in how many countries did you live? And then did those cultures influence the version of Rob that we're seeing today?
Oh, it's really just 3 countries, the United States, Brazil, and now Poland. And and I also lived and moved a lot in the United States. I lived up and down the East Coast and in Tennessee. And every place you live has an effect on you. It's, every place has a distinctive culture, and that changes you. I would say the biggest change in the States would be moving to Tennessee, because I grew up in Boston, very different from Boston. And then moving to Brazil, I lived in, the northeast of Brazil, which is much poorer, much laid back. It's a beach city, and then moved to the city of Rio afterwards. And there, the cultures are different. Coming to Poland, I would say it's really not that much different from what I grew up around in Boston. And, it's the same kind of atmosphere. The foods are the same foods I grew up on. And, here in Gdansk, Gdansk is really, it's a major city. So, like any big city in any country, they seem, and I hate to use the word, but I'll say Americanized. It just feels like a U.S. city, except for the language.
And the language seems to be a little bit difficult. Once I tried, I think in 2018, I wanted to do my CELTA in Poland, in British Council, Poland. And then I went through the website just to discover the language. That was my first encounter with the language. And I noticed really it's difficult. Is it difficult to learn? Did you learn some Polish? No? Yes, no?
I'm learning right now, actually. It's a friend of mine and I are studying with another friend of ours who's a Polish teacher, and we do it online. Andrea's in Romania, I'm here, and my teacher is down south here. And it's difficult. For me, I've learned a lot of different languages over the years, bits and pieces here and there, and they make sense when you look at the letters. They seem to make sense.
Yes.
But with Polish, they have different sounds, which is, anybody who speaks any of the Slavic languages understands this better. For instance, the neighborhood I live in is spelled Przzy and goes on from there. So when I see this, I'm thinking priz, this kind of thing. But the sound is sh.
Oh, seriously.
Yes. And there's a little bit of psh in there, which, it makes it much difficult, but finally, now that I've been, seriously working on learning the language, I'm starting to understand these things. And the funny thing is, once you learn the basic rules of Polish, which I'm still doing, it becomes much easier because things don't change like they do in other languages. So I'm hoping soon it's going to be a piece of cake.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So this is
Yes.
really gives me more, precision and about Rob, the lifelong learner. Apart from learning languages, Rob, have you been into learning new skills, new languages,
Oh,
new ways of doing?
constantly, constantly. As you're getting older, I'm learning new ways to get up out of bed. So
Yeah.
I'm always learning something. Whether it be, I love technology and I work a lot with technology. I work a lot with computers, and I'm always learning what I can do with that, and always learning what I can do, new things with presentation skills,
Mhm.
how to have fun with doing the presentations. I love to cook, and I'm always learning
What's the best thing
new
you can cook?
dishes.
Mm-hmm.
I can cook everything.
Oh my God. So, I'll share with you a project that I might consider after this Ikigai. It's like related to ELT and lifestyle, kind of related to food and so the let's say the importance of food in in keeping one's self healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important because myself included, Rob, I gained so much weight, especially during the COVID period of time and after COVID. People who know me before,
Mm-hmm.
they know how skinny I was. I was
Mm-hmm.
skinny. And then because I was working remote and I started eating, and have really developed some unhealthy habits. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm trying to create that balance, I'm dieting sometimes and allow myself for a cheat day. But compared to what I was, it's not like a huge leap, kind of thing. I did not gain that weight, but I'm just trying to be kind to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Not preventing myself from eating good food, but still
I'll
not.
give you the best advice. And I go to a dentist here, and he's about my age. He was a big guy. We're both about the same size. And I hadn't seen him for about 6 months. Went in, saw him, and he lost a lot of weight. And I said, "What was the key?" And he said, "Eat half."
Mm, that's what I do. Yeah.
That's all he did. He didn't
Eat
change his
slowly.
diet,
Yeah.
didn't change anything,
Yeah.
just eat half.
Uh-huh.
So, like if you have a pizza, I eat half and then I eat the other half. No.
No, what I do actually, that's what I do. It's like I don't really um kind of eat the whole portion, but half of it, let's say. I eat everything you can imagine, seafood, cakes, chocolate, but the unhealthy habit is to keep them on my desk,
Mhm.
the easy at hand. Even when I'm just busy doing something, like I
Mhm.
still have nuts or anything to eat, but it's not healthy. So I'm started, gaining that weight, but I think it's okay, not that much, because I don't regret that. The way that I am, the way that I look now, and being kind to
Well, you
myself.
look great.
I'm no longer anemic. That's the thing. I used to be so slim that, yeah, I used to, faint sometimes,
Mhm.
because I didn't used to eat, I was asking myself, with those memories on Facebook, those photos will pop in sometimes. How did I survive all those years without eating that much? So, but that's good. And the project is related to Ayurvedic food and
Mhm.
everything related to herbs and essential oils and yoga because I'm doing yoga myself and I've been doing this since
Mhm.
2016 and it's a good thing actually. And what Rob, the next question is related to, because since I asked you about the skills and skills improvement,
Hmm.
the next question is related to how many versions of Rob do we have until now? If you can count them, let's say.
Do we still have time?
Kind of. We'll be disconnected with the first 40 minutes, but we'll just reconnect Rob
Yeah.
afterwards. But you can still count, Rob. So, let's say Rob, early career, maybe Rob, mid-career, freelance,
Oh, many.
many. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Rob, since we were talking, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Rob. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, no, no.
Want
No,
to say
no. Go
something?
ahead.
So we were talking about the different versions of Rob, and I'm intrigued into knowing how those versions of Rob, have evolved over time. And then how helpful, Rob, you are now actually, because I see you volunteering in various teacher associations, and I've seen the new one, FETA, if we can link it to food. So how do we pronounce that? Was it a joke or what? So I saw
It
that.
was a joke. It was April Fool's.
No way. I thought it
I
was
do it every year. People still
believe
every
it.
yeah, if you go back through my Facebook, you'll see every year there's another joke. People believe I have triplets. They believe I bought a hotel.
I saw that.
Uh, yeah,
I was about to
and
write
now they're
congratulations.
yes, thank you. And people are still asking me, how are the twins? The triplets.
With triplets.
I I tell them, well, I lost one of them, but and they go, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, yeah, I left them at the mall, and
Where did you get these
anyway.
ideas from, Rob? Where did you get them from? Because I really believe them. The way you state them, and fact that
Well,
you had the logo.
I'm creative. I have too much time on my hands, I guess.
Wait,
It
no,
was
Rob,
pretty sad because
I want to go
even
back.
my sister believed it.
Everybody, no, everybody, and the mom is sleeping. The triplets are in good health. The mom is
Mhm.
sleeping.
Yep,
But, but the teacher
yep.
association, why don't you do something really and you call it FETA? Is it still
But
there? Did you remove it? No,
it
no, it's
should
there.
be there.
It's there.
It's probably there somewhere.
It's there. It's there.
But it's who knows? Maybe someday I will start it. But yeah, and going back to your question, they've been many me's over the years. Um, you know, like I say, life is too short. If you can do something that you enjoy and you have an opportunity to do it and to learn from it, do it. And back in the early days, I was a professional salesperson after university, and I worked in management, and I worked as a programmer for the government, um, working with computers, and I've been a professional musician and produced bands. And what else? When I was bored with that and was traveling, I started off doing carpentry, and I was doing carpentry for people up and down the East Coast, because I do custom woodworking. And then I got to Brazil. I was making furniture, rustic furniture, before people asked me to start teaching them English. And actually, teaching English is the longest job I've ever had. It's been over 20 years. So I love to reinvent myself. I don't get bored that way.
Yeah. The question here, Rob, is that what are the lessons learned from that diversity and multiplicity you had in your career path? Did that
Yep.
enable you to have more freedom to be yourself, or were you looking for yourself in those jobs that we're doing?
No, it gave me the freedom to enjoy life and, do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, and to have the free time and to take advantage of it. And for example, one of the things now that you started talking about is the volunteer work with IATEFL and
Yes.
everything else. And, this, I started with back in Brazil. I started the Business English Special Interest Group for Brazil and got involved with that, which led me to the BSIG for ee-kee-guy. I originally was on the bot team, the BSIG online team, then became co-coordinator of the website with Oksana Heda, and then we took over, Maria Sugfeld and I took over as joint coordinators, and that just finished that up last year. But in the meantime, I was invited, being here in Poland. I got involved a lot with ee-kee-guy Poland, doing webinars for them, public speaking contest judge, doing talks, and they asked me to run for vice president to become president. And I've been president now for over a year, and that's what I'm doing now. So
Bravo.
everybody come to Poland and come to our conference.
Yes, we will. We will. Actually, I'm
Yep.
planning to attend an ee-kee-guy conference soon enough. First, I want to join as a member because I'm a member elsewhere. And, for budgeting things, I need to really kind of plan this for next year. So,
Yep.
so hopefully. Since you were talking about SIGs and special interest groups, because I was part of an affiliate to the ee-kee-guy as well, and I was a SIG leader myself for sustainable education. And I really believe in the importance of creating such communities of practice to teachers. And that's the space where we learn, ourselves included. We host events, but most of all, we learn from colleagues we invite.
Sure.
Can you tell one thing Rob learned from let's say, from one presentation you didn't know it before, related to AI, to teaching practice, even a joke, an anecdote you can tell, something really, really fun that was really, you can still recall it now, let's say.
It's so hard because everything that I've learned over the years has been, from colleagues, talks, and everything else. And to think of one thing, I can think of probably the most interesting thing that's always stuck with me is I had a thing called EFL Talks, which were 10 minutes. And years ago, we did a live version of it on stage in Brazil for Braz Teasel. And one of the speakers, a dear friend who's since passed away, Susan Holden, had the perfect thing that still makes me, as a presenter, when you go to some of these things, you never know how many people are going to come to your talk. And she said, the only thing worse than nobody showing up is one person showing up, because then you have to give the talk for one person. And that's always stuck with me. And, I have no problem speaking. So I've been doing that all my life. It's all about communication for me, whether it was sales or whatever. So, yeah, I can't put my finger on anything other than that. It makes me laugh.
Yeah, because I do really believe in the teachers having different hats. Part of that is like the teacher coach, the teacher communicator, the teacher, and now transitioning back to leadership. So I do believe in leaders, in influential leadership. I really believe in that, because some leaders, they believe in titles. Other leaders, they do lead by example. And or just being, the fact of being who you are, you set yourself, as someone really cool, so that people want to learn from you. So that's the point. And I saw you as such. Once you post something, I know that's really not something that I should skip. I should, for instance, if it's a video, I should watch it. If it's an event, it's good. So that's cool.
Yeah, I tried. I've been doing this for a while now. I've seen I don't even know. I've never added up how many talks I've seen from other presenters. But, for years, especially in the years ago when I first started, I would see some wonderful people who were heroes on paper, did some great stuff,
Mm.
and then got up and did a presentation and basically I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I just remember, and I always tell the story that, teachers would stand up there and say, it is and entertain our students to keep them interested while they're learning. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. And, so I, some great speakers that I've seen over the years, Jeremy Harmer, Paul Silligson, uh, too many to name, that just, captivated the audience
From
and
the
were
beginning.
real, were themselves, were
Yes.
funny,
Yeah.
and that drew you in. And I said, I don't want to be one of those boring speakers that puts people to sleep.
Imagine
And,
students.
you know, I yeah, now, and since everybody's got a cell phone, I judge how well they're doing by how many people are looking down, checking their social media. And if you've ever been to one of my presentations, like I did it a couple of weeks ago, I do 350 slides in 60 minutes.
Why?
And that's because it draws your attention and you don't have time to look down.
Mm.
So, I'm trying to get people engaged in the presentation and the talk. So yeah, it's I don't know why I started
I'll
talking
tell
about
you
that.
something,
But yeah, I
yes, yes, go ahead, go ahead.
no, go
Want to
ahead.
carry on? So I learned myself how to be, a good presenter because being a good teacher is something and being a public speaker is something else. So there are
Hmm.
different, let's say, routines, let's if we can call that. Sometimes I start my presentation with a visualization exercise and meditation so that
Hmm.
people sometimes arrive at a conference venue or something, very it's hectic usually and they don't concentrate. So once they sit, that visualization and meditation enables them really to be here in the here and now in the moment. So it's cool. Other times I can start
Hmm.
with a game or with something, with this simple, with a ball, and people have to really um,
Yeah.
go ahead with that question. So it depends on the presentation. And especially now, I'm talking everywhere in the world. So my last presentation about Ikigai and Kaizen, I took it to Japan. I said, so these two terms are Japanese. So why don't you apply to present these two terms at a conference where the word
Hmm.
really originated? So it's Japan. So let's
Yep.
really take the concept itself and check whether I'm doing the right thing or not first.
Hmm.
And then, so my proposal was accepted, and I received very
Great.
good feedback. And I just presented
Good.
it last week. The whole thing, this what I'm doing with the Ikigai and leadership and social emotional
Hmm.
learning.
Yeah, great.
And, it was
Congrats.
really amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm going to develop this into a paper. And
Hmm.
it didn't start this way, Rob, at all. Do you
Hmm.
want me to tell you how it all started with the Ikigai podcast?
Sure.
I had a friend of mine, a colleague, a coach, is not a teacher, in
Hmm.
Tunisia. It was after the COVID a little bit, post-COVID, kind of a few months.
Hmm.
So we went to a place, very famous place in Tunisia. It's called Sidi Bou Said. So I'll show you some photos of Sidi Bou
Hmm.
Said. And it's a cool place. And then we had that aha moment. The download was there. So I was talking to him and I showed him the Ikigai diagram. Look, I found this amazing concept, and I like it so much. Things you're good at, things you can be paid for, and whatever. He told me, why don't you talk about this to people? I said,
Hmm.
How? Do you mean creating something on YouTube, live streaming? So I said, no. He told me podcasting. You're good in this. I did it previously with some students as a project. So I
Hmm.
told him, that's a good thing. You're gonna be my first victim. So he was my first victim. And then
Hmm.
I posted this, and it was in Tunisian dialect, no English involved. And
Hmm.
then I said, why not talk to my friends the same way, since it
Hmm.
works with the first one?
Good.
So I started really asking some friends, do you want to be my second victim? And say yes. And then I extended
Mhm.
this, to everybody, to my friends all over the world. And then I wanted to target, honestly, teachers living in Japan, because the word is Japanese, to see if I was using the real meaning and definition to ikigai.
Mhm.
Until I stumbled upon Jose Domingo Cruz. He is a close friend. And then he explained to me a little bit how Ikigai is perceived by the Japanese.
Mhm.
And here I am until now. So the Ikigai first started like a friendly chat, and now it's going to be a paper. And
Good.
for the purpose, Rob, I don't want this, to be labeled as something really scientific or whatever. No, I
Mhm.
just want this. People, once they will be reading anything related to Ikigai or watching a video
Mhm.
like this, can learn at least something. That's it.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. It's all this stuff is great, and teachers need this. They need to be constantly improving, and things like your podcast and what I did with EFL Talks. The whole idea is to try and give back to the community, and grow the community, and that's one of the nicest things about it is we have a pretty good network around the world of English teachers. And, you mentioned Dorothy and people like that. Dorothy, did Dorothy ever tell you the story of how we met?
No, she didn't.
And Dorothy and I were at a conference in Ecuador. We were both plenary speakers. We had never met. And I was working, she did publishing. And I said, oh, I kind of have a problem with the formatting. And she said, give me your laptop. And we sat down and she went through in 5 minutes. She reformatted the entire book and had it ready for print. And I said, boy, wouldn't it be great if there was a group of people that could help others like this? And
Yes.
we started the independent authors and publishers together. And we've had the booth every year at IHFO ever since.
And I think Dorothy,
So,
and I'm sure, not I think,
but
that Dorothy has a course for self-publishers. So I think it's an annual
yep.
course for people who are interested
Yes.
in self-publishing, because publishing is
Yes.
usually very expensive. But if
Mhm.
you learn how to do that yourself, and
Yeah.
Dorothy is presenting good materials for that. So I
Hmm.
didn't know the story behind that. I think it's cool. So
Yeah.
I might need to really publish something once to myself. I don't know when, but probably I will learn a lot from your
Yep. You
experience.
will.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Now with AI, things, got easy. I learned how to
Mhm.
create blogs and websites with AI presentations whatsoever. But self-publishing, if it's not authentic, if it's not
Mhm.
your work, if it's not, forget about the content. If it's not something you do it from the heart, you're not passionate about this, people
Right.
will feel it. Whoever is going, just like the presentation, they will get bored.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing with AI is,
Yeah.
we have the separation between, yes, it's logical, it does a great job, it's better teacher than any of us will ever be, except the human factor, which it's not capable of. Well, it's
Mimicking.
getting there, but
Yeah.
it's learning, and eventually it will be able, to replicate this stuff. But this is as teachers right now, and what I've been talking about mostly this year is the fact that we have to take advantage of the humanity that we still have the advantage over AI. And that's all about the passion and the teaching, you know. That's what people come for. They come to learn from the person. You know,
Exactly.
they don't buy a course, they buy a teacher.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
this is,
Because
you
AI
know,
now can
so
be everybody's tutor. AI, if you ask
mhm,
ChatGPT or Copilot, can
mhm,
you, for instance, um, co-assist me in learning this? They can do it.
mhm.
So easy.
Oh yeah.
But the
Yep.
I experimented on something, you just reminded me with something, an activity I did with my students. It's very recent. So we called it the conversation class with OpenAI. Every student has the app
Mhm,
on his or her phone, and they talk to AI. I had only one
mhm,
student
mhm,
who really was so open-minded into asking AI some questions, and he was testing that emotion, the lack of the human aspect and the emotional aspect in AI, and even provoking the chat bot to give precise and
mhm,
short answers, and he was like kind
mhm,
of doing the machine learning in his own way, and it's really interesting as an activity that I have developed that into a podcast.
mhm,
So the students, they have, some of them, not all of them, they have conversed with AI and recorded this into a podcast. But comparing this in the paper that I talked about, the human aspect is really absent, except
mhm.
for the person who was really, facilitating that activity. But AI won't
And
take over the world, let's say.
it will.
It will?
It will. Oh yeah. It will. You know, I have this argument with teachers all the time because teachers do not understand what technology is
It's,
capable of.
yeah, there.
I mean, I'm a computer programmer. I know technology, and I don't even know what it's capable of. Some of the experts out there, they were asked in an interview. I have to research this now, but they were asked in an interview just the other day, and they said, "When will AI take over and replace teachers?" And he said, "It already has." And when will it totally do it? He said, 2 years.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things that I've been talking about is that there are things that we can do to stave off AI taking over, and we need to improve ourselves to offer more. Because if you're just other than teaching nouns, verbs, and everything else, if you're not teaching them communication skills like they really need, um, AI can do a better job.
They do.
And the thing is that where AI will fail right now is you say about using a chatbot. Reality is, if you and I were to meet on the street and say, you mentioned French. Now, my French is horrible, and I don't know how yours is, but if we were to speak with each other in French, we're going to make mistakes. We're not going to understand each other. And this is why you have to have conversations with humans
Mm.
and not chatbots, because
Yes,
chatbots won't make mistakes. And the reality is, we make mistakes.
exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
so
really
we
believe in raising awareness before, before going into that experience, the ethical part was really established before, and then since they're software engineers and programmers themselves, so they know that it's not exact 100%, and they know how to train chatbots. So the whole experience was to use that knowledge and to improve the experience as much as possible,
Mhm.
but the awareness should be there. And
Yep.
they even told me about a story. It was in a competition in a Gulf country. They have two robots, they were monitored through AI, And at a particular moment, it was kind of a debate competition. They couldn't manage the two robots anymore, so they unplugged them.
Mm-hmm.
So it is scary to
Well,
the
I've been unplugged as a teacher too, so people can't manage me either.
No, but seriously, it's like
Yeah.
AI sometimes can be useful to a certain extent, but if it's not with the exactitude needed, for instance, in surgeries, in medicine, in car in manufacturing industry. So if AI does not have that exactitude, a human being, can die in a surgery if it's not exact. So that's why it should be reviewed every time.
Yeah, but we don't have to be bringing it into the classroom
Yeah.
and teaching our students how to use it because
Without.
you're teaching them to just replace you. If
Mm, Allow me
yeah, you'd
allow
be
me to
surprised.
disagree to a certain extent. I'll tell you how.
You can disagree, but if you look at the amount of people that are using apps right now to learn English,
Mhm.
half of our market now around the world are already using. Nobody wants to face that because, of course, we don't think we can be replaced as by a machine. But
Mm.
stand by.
Yeah, of course we
The
shouldn't. But
reality is coming. That's why I say I'm glad I'm old because I won't have to worry and deal with the future.
no, you're young at heart, first. Second, about AI, concerning AI, I think it's interesting because since the technology is there, you can't ban it because students are going to use it either ways. So we integrate it, but with caution, you know.
Yeah, you don't have here. For example, we talked about banning the calculator, and
Mm,
they did ban it for years in
yes,
school.
yeah.
Kids learned how to use a calculator. We banned cell phones. They learned how to use a cell phone. They learned how to use games. They learned how to use TikTok. They learned how to use Google. We didn't need to teach any of that. So why do we need to teach them to use an app?
Mm,
Now, what we could be doing, let's say for ChatGPT, yes, work on prompts with them. But I give a perfect example. Here's one which I think is a little fun. People need to learn how to use a chainsaw. So we teach them how to read and understand the instructions. We don't bring a chainsaw to the classroom because it's dangerous.
yeah.
You know, Chat GPT without using Chat GPT.
Mm,
Now, I think AI is great. Don't get
mm,
me wrong,
yeah.
and it's going to get better. But every time we're using it, we're training it to replace us. I say use it to make your life
Easier.
easier
Yeah.
to produce product to bring to class. But
Yeah.
you're the teacher. Stop using it as assistant.
No, I don't use it as a system. So
That's my thing.
I use it part of computer assisted language learning. For example, I have students,
Mm-hmm.
with different levels, and sometimes
Yep.
tutoring in the sense can help them. For example, I won't be there with that student to practice their speaking skills every time. So some of my students, they have really adapted and adopted the AI speaking chatbots as a
Mm-hmm.
speaking tool. They just converse, they have a topic and discuss, and it has improved some of their level to a certain extent.
But you know what? For thousands of years, people have been learning languages. You know how they did it? They
They
talked to
mute.
each other.
I know. And if they don't have people to
Let them
talk to,
talk to each other.
they do.
Well,
No,
that's
I
the
do.
problem.
I do in class.
That
Yeah.
no, I'm not giving you a hard time, but
No, it's
I
okay.
am.
I'm open to
It,
discussing this because it's research and it's part of
yeah.
we can't improve, If we don't really try, test, review, it's okay. But
Hmm.
computer assisted language learning, is really important nowadays because that's the future. We're born in a generation that is different from theirs, myself included. I was born in
Hmm. Oh, I know.
1984. George Orwell had a thought about creating that, writing that book once I was born. So, but the thing is that I treat them by taking into consideration that they were born in a different era, and
Hmm.
they're going to use it either ways. So
Oh, sure.
let's take the positive things if we can use them to enhance the experience. If not, they know that themselves. They're programmers. They train chatbots. They showed me,
Hmm.
how to create a Discord server. So now we're practicing English. So maybe we can
Hmm.
include that for next year. So they have created what we call a virtual space in
Hmm.
many virtual classrooms. And for every, they call it a chat room for every skill. So for homework support,
Hmm.
so they meet and they talk and they live stream this so that other students they can watch it afterwards. So it's good.
And now you're doing business English, so that's good.
It's good. It's good. So we better use it for, in a good sense. But
Hmm.
I really agree with you that people were afraid, when internet came over, we're not going to use books anymore, but still people read books.
Hmm.
Cell phones, still people, but it has changed what we call the habitus, what people got used to.
Hmm.
But it's good that we train ourselves and train others, to get along with technology because it's going to be there either we wanted this or not. But the next question, Rob, is that how far do you think AI can be useful in business and corporate world? Did you have an experience with the corporate world or not? Did you kind of
Well,
train people with
yeah. Well, that's AI has been around since before I was born, and I'm pretty old. We just didn't call it AI back
yes.
then.
Yeah.
So we've always been using this stuff. And, it's to a degree, what did it do? And what did we use it for? So, we've been using this stuff in business for years. So we know what it's capable of. And in business, you so this is what you're looking to realize. What are we going to do when AI is capable of doing almost every job?
Sorry, Rob, you were disconnected a little bit, so I
Yeah,
lost track of the
yeah.
last word.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, um, I I forget.
it's okay. Like talking about it.
It's
Yeah, I want to share something about AI. In my
you
country, to me,
know,
in the 70s, just like you said, AI is as old as this universe. And
mhm,
I'm looking for it actually here. I shared it for a time ago. And it talks about a conference in Tunisia that was held in the 70s and talking about artificial intelligence, or what we call in Arabic, الذكاء الاصطناعي. So, and it was part of the culture, and people did not use really to call it in this sense. And they were scared even that AI will, take over the
mhm,
world at that time. And, all the movies that we
mhm,
show on TV and cinema, I, Robot, I don't know,
mhm,
I can remember not Independence Day. So everything is, they try to infuse the collective memory of AI and technology and robots that they can really take over humanity. And it's good that those topics are being tackled, in media, in
mhm.
fiction. It gives us a certain freedom to imagine. And without imagination,
Yep.
no hope and there is no life. And I think the beauty of this life is to really be creative, have
Mhm,
an open mindset to learn,
mhm,
like you are, just like what I'm doing.
mhm.
And like-minded people, I'm so glad that this podcast brought us together. And I don't know, Rob, do you want to add anything, because we're almost done
Mhm.
with our chats?
Well, I would say to anybody that you have to, realize the principles of what you're talking about with Ikigai and Kaizen, and even if you look at like Shihari, the whole idea is it's a journey and it's a long journey to always get better. And none of us are really. You were asking before about mastery.
Hmm.
And that was one of the questions you sent. And I was thinking about that when you said,
Maturity.
well,
Maturity.
what skills have you mastered? And my answer would be none,
None.
because I'm still working on it
None. Yes.
and trying to get better at everything. And this is an important thing that you see it with the teacher associations. There's got to be well over 1 million English teachers out there. Yet, how many are members of teacher associations? Not very many. We figured, we were trying to figure it up one time, and we thought with all the organizations around the world, maybe 50,000. Where are the rest of the teachers? Are they improving? Are they reading?
Yeah, they do.
And, you know, so this is the thing. You constantly need to be improving. And that's part of the whole idea behind Ikigai.
Exactly. And I was talking about maturity because mastery, as you said, no one is a master of his own destiny, not even. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe in maturity, just like a banana which is ripe over time, just
Mm-hmm.
like wine which ripes over time, it gets better, just like cheese sometimes. There are things with time that get better, just like human
Mm-hmm.
beings. Even us, our skin, everything. So we kind of uh, improve and at the same mature over time. And
Mm-hmm.
as for teachers,
But
yeah,
just to take that even further,
yeah.
if you let the wine or the cheese sit without improvement, they turn bad.
I
Same
don't know this,
with,
so yeah. Yeah.
well, wine turns to vinegar if
Oh, okay.
cheese gets moldy.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't be inactive. And that's why you have to
Just
continue
stir.
this journey
Yeah.
to get better. Exactly.
Exact. And I'm answering your question about teacher associations. We decide to really associate ourselves with organizations or with people, but not necessarily give that a label.
Mhm.
Sometimes you can find like a group of freelancers, associating themselves and being friends all along the journey. Okay, just
Yep.
like your friends, co-authors, but not necessarily a part of an organization. So it depends
Or
on,
join FETA.
yeah, feta. It will be our next association. I really believe that. And part of
Yep.
the Mediterranean, we do love feta. So if
Hmm.
ever you consider creating a luncheon, a teacher association for the Mediterranean, you have a bunch of friends and
Yep.
teachers. I will bring bread and feta
Okay.
with me,
Perfect.
along the way, and let's see what others really. I'm sure they're gonna bring other.
Perfect.
Right. Thank you, Rob. That was amazing having you. And I hope
Thank
that's
you.
not the last time we talk to each other. Thank you.
It won't be.
It won't be.
Thank you.
So I'll be joining, once I'll be joining the IATAFL, I will give you a sign and I'll be glad to take part in your SIG activity, a special interest group within the IATAFL, because I taught business English since 2009. For how many years?
Great. They would love to have you and
I
come to Poland and
I lost track of
what
how
the
many
heck.
years. So that was one of my favorite things. Actually, once they see my CV, they ask me a question. Why have you been doing all this, over the years? Simply because I like it. My parents are
Mhm.
bankers. I've been immersed within that. And,
Mhm.
it happened intuitively. So thank you so much, Rob. And I think it's
Thank you.
Here it's lunchtime here in Tunisia. I invite you to eat couscous, which is a famous meal in Tunisia.
Mm,
And I'll send you a lot of photos. So just in case you consider lunching the Feta
great.
Association,
Okay,
we can have a full meal, full house.
good. Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Rob. And last but not least, thank you so much, Rob, for really being humble, for accepting the invitation, and for sharing, part of the Ikigai. I assume, yeah, there are, a lot of things you haven't talked about today, just like you
Mhm.
just that's the tip of the iceberg. And I hope we'll be covering this, in the upcoming episodes. So do you want to add anything, Rob, before we say goodbye?
Keep up the good work and keep spreading the word and keep helping to build better teachers.
Thank you so much. And I learn a lot from all of you. Thank you so much. And that's the end of our today's episode with the Ikigai International Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And don't forget to click the link and subscribe button so that this episode really reaches everybody who needs to watch it. And until we meet again, thank you so much. And bye bye, everyone. Bye, Rob.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.